The Israeli military says Hamas unsuccessfully fired 2 rockets at Tel Aviv.
Freed Russian prisoner Ilya Yashin tells Euronews about his time behind bars. Zelensky says Ukraine must make full use of its achievements in Russia's Kursk region.
Weather services in Serbia and Romania have issued warnings of a week-long heat wave.
Israel's military says Hamas fired 2 rockets from the Gaza Strip, with one landing in the sea off the coast of central Israel and the other not crossing into its territory. The Palestinian militant group confirmed it fired the twin rockets at Tel Aviv. The IDF says it also successfully intercepted a drone crossing from Lebanon. Hezbollah militants have traded near-daily strikes with the Israeli military along the country's shared border since Hamas's October 7 attack. Meanwhile, the IDF is pushing further into the Gaza Strip. It has released footage claiming to show its operations in the enclave, which includes the embattled southern city of Khan Yunis. It comes as leaders of France, Germany and Britain endorse the latest push by mediators to broker an agreement to end the 10-month Israel-Hamas war. Iran rejected the request to stave off from retaliatory attacks against Israel, referring to the appeal as, quote, excessive.
Russian opposition activist Ilya Yashin was released on the 1st of August after 2.5 years in a Russian prison as part of the historic prisoner exchange. He spoke to Euronews in Berlin about Russia and his time behind bars.
Очень важно не проваливаться в эмоциональную яму, очень важно себя как-то держать в эмоциональном и в физическом тонусе, потому что в противном случае ты просто развалишься на части. Ну, кроме того, все-таки 2 года – это не критический срок. Говорят, что такие необратимые изменения начинают происходить спустя 3 года за решеткой. После этого у людей начинаются уже серьезные проблемы со здоровьем, начинают там выпадать зубы, начинают как-то там выпадать волосы.
Тебе ты каким-то образом продолжал вести YouTube. Как тебе это удавалось? Нет ли там контроля, чтобы это предотвращать?
Ну, ты имеешь возможность переписываться с людьми, и иногда цензура пропускает какие-то вещи. Конечно, были моменты, когда мои тексты блокировались, или там что-то вычеркивалось, что-то перечеркивалось. Но все-таки, когда идет огромный объем писем, а у меня был огромный объем писем, я получил больше 30 тысяч писем и открыток за 2 года заключения, цензоры не справлялись, и зачастую какие-то вещи проходили, и благодаря этому мне удавалось в письмах на волю сообщать там какую-то информацию общественно значимую, которую я хотел опубликовать в своих там социальных сетях или просил мою команду превратить это в какой-то видеоконтент на YouTube.
Какой вообще сейчас поддержка у Путина?
Я думаю, что прям вот жесткая идеологическая опора людей, которые там готовы за Путиным идти в огонь и в воду, она не такая большая. То есть вот жесткие сторонники Путина, прям их примерно столько же, сколько жестких противников Путина. В основном российское общество — это люди, которые занимают выжидательную позицию. Экономическая ситуация и социальное положение в российском обществе ухудшается, и люди, как мне кажется, все больше и больше связывают это с политикой Путина. Очень показателен был, кстати, мятеж Пригожина летом прошлого года, когда, несмотря на такую истеричную реакцию Путина, несмотря на то, что, казалось бы, вот восстание, там, мятеж, общество достаточно индифферентно на это отреагировало. Не было никаких митингов в поддержку Путина.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Ukraine must make full use of its achievements in Russia's Kursk region. He noted that Ukrainian forces now control 74 communities in Kursk and expressed gratitude to the soldiers and commanders involved.
Ми знов довели, що в будь-якій ситуації ми, українці, здатні досягати своїх завдань, здатні захищати свої інтереси та свою незалежність. І ми маємо на 100% використати наші досягнення. Так і буде.
Ukraine began its unprecedented incursion onto Russian soil 8 days ago, a surprise for Russian forces which have been scrambling to respond. The governor of the Belgorod region has also declared a region-wide state of emergency as Ukrainian forces continue to attack there. The Russian Defense Ministry claims its army units have stopped Ukrainian forces from moving deeper into Russia, as President Putin claims the incursion is an attempt by Kyiv to stop Moscow's offensive in the Donbas region and gain leverage in possible future peace talks. But a Ukrainian Foreign Ministry spokesperson said the cross-border operation was aimed at protecting Ukrainian land from long-range strikes launched from Kursk.
Ukraine's Kursk campaign is a pivotal moment in the war with the potential to change its trajectory, states the Institute for the Study of War in its latest report. And here are some of the critical battlefield aspects about it. The US-based think tank says Ukraine has achieved operational surprise against significant odds at the border between the regions of Sumy and Kursk. And despite recent mill blogger claims that Russian forces were stabilizing the front line, the ISW argues that Ukrainian forces appear to be advancing further within the Kursk region. It concludes that Ukraine can restore operational maneuver by planning and conducting a series of smaller successive counter-offensive operations rather than attempting a single decisive blow.
The Serbian National Weather Service warned on Monday of a week-long heat wave with temperatures reaching up to 41 degrees. They warned the weather would range from dangerous to very dangerous and that the worst of the heat wave will hit southern parts of the country. Residents in Romania are also feeling the heat.
Mie îmi place căldura, dar chiar și așa consider că este mult prea cald. Anul ăsta n-am reușit să stau afară pe terasă, la casă fiind, absolut deloc, doar la aer condiționat. N-am crezut că o să ajung să prefer aerul condiționat în defavoarea verii.
A code orange is in force until Thursday evening, with meteorologists warning that the extreme heat will last throughout the week. In Bosnia, a severe heat wave and drought are devastating the corn harvest. Farmers in the grain hub around Bijeljina estimate between 40 and 60% of their crops have been damaged. Successive heat waves this year have contributed to triggering fires across the Balkan region and elsewhere in southern Europe. Thousands gathered on Tuesday at an anti-government rally called by two of Slovakia's opposition parties to protest against actions taken by the government of Prime Minister Robert Fico. These include the dismissal of the heads of the National Theatre and Gallery by hard-right culture minister Martina Simkovićová, a move that opponents say is a symptom of a broader crackdown. Simkovićová has responded, saying the opposition and the media are trying to discredit her. In July, the European Commission reprimanded Slovakia for backsliding on the rule of law and media freedoms.
Slovakia's opposition says that dismay with the government of Robert Fico has reached a boiling point and that the European Union needs to remain vigilant of the government's reforms. In recent days, thousands of Slovaks have taken to the streets to denounce government decisions they say undermine freedoms and the rule of law. They include the dismissal of the heads of the National Theatre and Gallery by hard-right culture minister Martina Simkovićová and the dismantling of the National Crime Agency, moves opponents say are symptoms of a broader crackdown.
We've heard also from the mouth of Prime Minister is that he is calling liberalism, progressivism a cancer, quote unquote. So clearly there is a frontal attack on freedom of expression, arts, culture, and especially rule of law, which is very much a concern for the European Commission.
Since returning to power last October, Prime Minister Fico has sparked outcry for overhauling the country's criminal code and dissolving the Special Prosecutor's Office, prompting mass protests over the winter. He is also expected to disband the National Crime Agency, which was handling high-profile corruption cases in which he himself was involved. Last week, Fitzo's Justice Minister also brokered the release from prison of a former special prosecutor convicted on charges of corruption and bribery. Brussels has taken no action yet.
The European Commission so far has been very careful not to draw a line of attack on the government, and that has been made much more difficult for the Commission because of the recent assassination attempt on Mr. Fitzo himself. So they had to draw a very careful line between legitimately criticizing the actions of the government that stand at odds with some of the fundamental principles of the EU, especially the rule of law, but on the other hand, not giving into the hatred against Mr. Fitzo himself.
The Commission reprimanded Slovakia for backsliding on the rule of law and media freedoms in July. In the past, it has withheld EU funds from member countries such as Hungary for similar violations.
Crowds in London flock to see piranhas on a police box. The fish tank-themed artwork near London's Central Criminal Court, known as the Old Bailey, is part of an animal trail created by elusive street artist Banksy, aimed at lifting the public's spirits during a period of bleak news headlines. Other images include a gorilla lifting the shutter at London Zoo to release a sea lion and several birds, as well as elephants, a goat, a wolf and pelicans, and a mural of a rhinoceros that looks like it's climbing on top of the car. The City of London Corporation hope to preserve the piranhas.